Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to my workshop. Today we're going to be working on this piece behind me. So we're going to be continuing with our Dixie Belle dresser. This was painted in Dixie Belle Vintage Duck Egg, I don't know, a few nights ago. So I did that live, so if you want to see the first coat and how that all comes together, you can check that out on our page. I'm Kelly with Captiva Home. And I am a Dixie Belle retailer, so that's kind of like new news, and I'm super excited about it. So I do have the Dixie Belle paint available at our spot at Avenue C Design in Framingham, and also if you click in the links, that does support our business. So thank you so much. And tonight, I don't know exactly where this is going, but let me know what you think. I'd love to see your comments. I love all of the feedback that you guys have and ideas, because this piece is going to be for sale. So that means that I can have a lot of fun with playing with it and experimenting with a few different techniques, and we'll just see what happens. So I know for sure we have this base color, and then I want to use a little bit of this cotton. So this is Dixie Belle cotton. It's the brightest white that they have. And we're gonna use this for highlights and also blending. So I think we're gonna do a little bit of a blended panel and then some dry brushing I think would be nice on this piece. I gotta figure out how to accent that right, because that's a cool feature, but I don't know exactly where the design's gonna go. And then down here, can you see those? Yeah. So those are some really nice raised details. And we also have that featured on the mirror up above, which isn't attached right now. So you'll see that at the end. But that will tie together nicely. And I think we're gonna use either the gilding wax, and this is the hardware, hasn't been cleaned yet, so it's pretty dirty right now, but you can at least get a feel for what it's gonna look like. These will probably shine up to really nice gold or brassy colored, but you never really know. So based on that, I'm gonna use the gilding wax in one of these two colors. So this is warm gold, so that could be really nice. Kind of has like a Beauty and the Beast flair to it. So I think that would be great. And then depending what color the hardware turns out, maybe it's going with this bronze. So these are the two options. This one's obviously really vibrant. This one's a little more muted for the bronze, but I think either one could work well with this color palette. So that's my thought process. And let's get started. So I know a lot of you will ask how we prepped and how this all came together. So first I cleaned it, and we actually used the Dixie Belle White Lightning. So this is a really great cleaner. It is TSP, so you just need to make sure that you wipe off all the residue and make sure that you do a wash with water after you clean it. So started there, and then I did a clear coat, and you could use the Dixie Belle Boss in clear, which is a clear primer. It blocks color, no it doesn't, well yeah, color. It blocks stains, odors, and it's gonna help with your tannin bleeds so that you don't see that pink or yellow staining that can sometimes happen with a piece. So that, and then first coat was the Dixie Belle Vintage Duck Egg. I love this color. I think it's so pretty and so neutral, but also really gorgeous. And then now we're gonna do a second coat with the Dixie Belle Vintage Duck Egg and cotton for ombre highlights, blending. I'm not sure exactly what it's gonna be. So that clear primer is Dixie Belle Boss. Oh, you know what? I have it right here. This. I thought I had all the things. So this is Dixie Belle Boss in clear, and then they also have it in white. So depending what color you're gonna be painting with, you might wanna factor that in, because obviously we have a wood piece, and then if you primed it with a white and then a color on top and then sanded to distress back into it, you might see that white pop out. So depending on your design and your aesthetic and what you're planning to do with it, it might be better off to go with a clear primer. So that's where this would come in. And then on the other side, if you were trying to paint this bright white, then using a white primer is gonna help you get to that coverage level faster. So use a white primer and then white paint, and you'll probably have less coats of white paint. If you've ever painted furniture, you know white can be very challenging to cover. So sometimes using a primer that is white first is a great option. So that's the thought process there. I like to kind of roam around my piece. So I'm gonna start with this panel. And yes, I am. We are located in Berlin, Mass. So that's pretty close to Worcester, which is one of the main towns in the area. And then we have our shop in Framingham. So you can actually shop Dixie Belle paint there, or if you are located anywhere else, you can shop through our link that's in the notes, and that will have all the Dixie Belle stuff. We'll ship it right to you, and it does support our business, so that does help us out a lot. So check that out. And I highly recommend trying this paint. I waited too long and should have been on this train a long time ago because it's really fantastic. You can see how the coverage is quite nice, and it also adheres really well. So this is like stuck. I tried the scratch test. I can't get anything up. It really has leveled out quite nicely too. And these synthetic brushes are fantastic, and they're made in the US, and they're quite comfortable. So highly recommend these. I'm really, really happy with them. You'll see how easily this all glides on. Oh, but I did just find a bristle. So, oh, that was a nice. So when you find a bristle that is stuck in your paint, sometimes just rolling it is going to be the best way to get it off. So keep that in mind if you ever find bristles. It happens with paintbrushes, especially when they're new. They might shed a little bit. So that's what I just discovered there. And I've been painting for a long time, just about 20 years. So there's a lot of little tips and tricks that I love to share with you guys. And I know some of you are new to the page, so please give me a like, let me know what I can help you with. If you have any questions, even if you're watching on the replay, I can still see them. So jump in, chat, let me know what kind of questions you have. I also want to know what your favorite Dixie Belle colors are. So I'm going to be placing an order tomorrow, maybe the next day, depends how the kids work out. But Dixie Belle has 64 incredible colors. So I'm working on building up my inventory at the shop in Framingham, but they have all these colors and then all these super fun products. So there's so many things to play with. I would love to know what your favorite things are so I can focus on getting those first, and which colors you want to see. So this is, the duck egg is actually right there. And then these are all like super vibrant, and then we have more of a pastels. Hello, hello. And I love them all. So we'll see. But let me know what your favorites are so I can try to get those in. I like to go for like the neutrals and grays and greens and blues. So that's where my mind always goes. And yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing. That helps us out significantly. So anytime that you share or comment or post, like or engage with one of our posts or videos, that just basically tells Facebook that we're doing something interesting and helps support our business. So that is super appreciated. So now that I have this base layer, I'm gonna try doing a little blending. So like I said, I had that cotton. So I just have a little tub. I don't think it's gonna take much to incorporate. So I'm just gonna start here. And I like to go for like the places where the light would naturally hit it. So before you start prepping your piece, sometimes that's a really great time to look at your piece and figure out where the wear and natural highlights happen to be. And then it's a lot of just like blending until you get happy with it. Sometimes it helps to have a few different brushes. So this is actually the oval medium, and then I am using the flat medium, so you can see they're different, for my main color. And then I also have the short-handled mini, so this is super handy. And these are nylon bristle synthetic brushes. Really nice to work with. They help your paint to self-level. Oh, shouldn't have done that. And with paint, it's just paint. If you find that you don't like whatever you're doing, it's really easy to recover from. And that is kind of a key thing when you're painting. You want to know whether you can, or how to fix an issue if one arises. So with water-based paint, you can reactivate it. So if I found that this was drying too fast, I could just spritz it down with my water bottle. And thank you guys for sharing and showing up. You're incredible. So I have my water bottle right here, and I could just spritz it down, but I don't want to because I kind of like what's happening there. And I might come back for a second coat so that I can get more of a definition, but for now, I'm kind of digging it. So I'm Kelly with Captiva Home. I know a lot of you just jumped on. Thank you so much, totally appreciate it. Today we are working with Dixie Belle paint, and this is Vintage Duck Egg, which is the main color that we have going on. And then I just did a little bit of blending with Dixie Belle Cotton, which is the brightest white. It's actually this color right over here. So that I'm using as a highlight and maybe a dry brushing. I'm not exactly sure where this is going, so we'll see. But I do want to paint my second coat on the entire piece. So I just did that panel. I probably should have started with the leg here, but that's okay. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you're watching this later, I can still see all of your comments, and I would love to answer whatever questions you have. One question I have for you is I want to know what your favorite Dixie Belle colors are. I'm placing another order because I just became a retailer for Dixie Belle. So I'm placing another order, but there's so many pretty colors. I want to know which ones you guys like the most so I can focus on getting those first because it takes time to get everything. But I'm really digging it so far. You can see, yeah, I kind of like that. So there's a little bit of white there. It's so subtle that you might not even notice it, but I think it's going to help add to the overall ambiance of the piece. And then we'll see how the rest of it comes out, because sometimes you need to go back and adjust a panel or add a little bit more somewhere. Because I do like it to be like fairly consistent when I'm working on a project like this. But this paint has been, it covers beautifully, really nice colors, it self-levels, and which means that the brush strokes are going to even out. And then it also bonds really well. So I was quite surprised how after the first coat here, you can just scratch it and nothing happens. That's pretty cool. I've been painting for a long time, and some paints would just scratch right off at this point. So that is a great indicator of a high quality paint. The adhesion capabilities. I prefer a paint that has a long open time, so that's another reason that I really like this. Some paints are going to dry a lot faster, and depending on what you're doing with it, you might like that. But personally, not a huge fan of super dry, quick drying paints. So, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining. Again, I'm Kelly with Captiva Home. We are a new Dixie Belle retailer in Berlin, Mass. Actually, our shop's in Framingham. And we're working with Vintage Duck Egg. So that is right here. It's beautiful, as you can tell. Thank you guys so much for sharing. It is like super helpful. And we're doing the second coat here. So we're using the Duck Egg as a base, and then white as the Dixie Belle Cotton as an accent to do a little bit of ombre and maybe some highlighting and dry brushing. I'm not entirely sure. So let me know what you think and how you think I should address this. This area is really throwing me for a loop. So we'll see what happens with the blending and how we like that. And then we'll figure out how to address that. So I'm gonna start with this. And let me know what questions you have. Hello, I love that you guys watch from around the world. I see Oregon and Arizona just popped on. I know we have a lot of people that are in, I think, New Zealand and Australia, so I think that's unbelievable. That's like the coolest thing in the world. So let me know where you guys are watching from, because I think that's super interesting. Like I said, I am based in Berlin, Massachusetts, which is a tiny town that nobody knows about. But we are in Central Mass, right by Worcester. So about, 45 minutes from Boston, if you're ever trying to figure that out. In here, so since I have such a nice open time, I'm not super concerned about getting the brush strokes perfect right now because the paint stays open for a while, which means I can still adjust it. And then if I ever find that it is drying too quickly or I'm not ready, you can just spritz it down and it just reactivates the paint. So then you can loosen it up, move it around to where you need it to be. And that is one of the things that I like about this paint. So, pretty cool. And I'm using the Dixie Belle synthetic brush, which has the super high quality DuPont synthetic bristles. I used to love another brush. I'll rave about them. These I'm really, really happy with. So definitely try them. I also like that they're made in the USA. I think that's a great feature. And they are much more easily to readily accessible. So there's a whole bunch of different sizes available at dixiebelle.com. If you use my link in the notes, that helps us out. So thank you for anyone who's shopping there. All right, so now that I have this base down, I'm gonna see what happens with the blending. Oh, and this is a flat medium. I'm also actually gonna use this is the oval medium. And I have my little tiny cup of cotton because I don't actually need a whole lot of it. And I'm not looking for like a severe blending. I just want kind of a brightening where it might naturally happen. Another thing you always want to watch for, can you see this? So in here, I have some excess paint going on. You really probably can't see from there, but that would turn into drips or runs unless I address them. So I have noted that. I will make sure that I come back to that before I move on from this piece, this area. And since this paint is so loose, it's basically mixing on the piece of furniture. Sometimes it's helpful to come in with a dry brush if you have too much excess there, and that's going to help move it around more. So, and of course it's a little bit wet. Oh, too wet. So, no, I'm not going to do that. I might have to continue mixing that. So anyway, let me know what kind of questions you have. I am located in Berlin, Mass. Someone just asked. So that is in central Massachusetts, right next to Worcester, about an hour from Boston. Tiny town, nothing here. But I do have a shop in Framingham, Mass, and that's adorable. It's at Avenue C Design in Framingham, and it's located on a farm, so it's really picturesque. It's gorgeous, and that is where we are selling our Dixie Belle paint, or you can order online. So if you're watching from anywhere else, you can use the link in the notes, and that does support our business. So thank you. And thank you guys for sharing and showing up. All 73 of you, you're amazing. Let me know what other kind of questions you have. This blending is just kind of a fluid motion. Really, there's too much water there. So let me think about this. I did just recently wash out my brushes. So I just went and grabbed a super cheap chip brush because this is dry. And instead of adding more water to this, it's going to kind of soak up the paint that's on there. Because right now, there is too much moving around in here. So what would happen is it would end up settling and then kind of losing some of the detail. So I do not want that to happen. So by moving it around, I can avoid that. This, honestly, I'm not sure what I'm going to seal it with. They do have both waxes and polyacrylics, which are water-based top coats. So I might use that. The water-based top coats tend to be a little bit more protective than a wax. but I haven't had a chance to really put them to the test yet. So I might try to do that with this piece and just kind of see what happens. So someone's asking if it feels chalky when you're done. It is not a chalk paint, but it does have a textured feel. So it's not like the most chalky. I'm trying to think of like how to describe it. It's a little chalky. It's not insanely rough. You can actually just leave it be. It doesn't need to be sealed for durability purposes, but I still like to. I think that that's important, especially because we are selling these pieces. If they're to be used in the home and you know how you're going to care for them and who's going to use them, then I think you have a little bit more flexibility there. But since I have no idea how this will be used, I want to make sure that my clients are protected, because this piece will be for sale whenever I'm done. And that's why I can do whatever I want with it for design. That's why I can't really decide. So we'll see what happens with it. Yes, and you can sand it down. So if you want it to be super smooth, what I like to do is a light sand at the end. And I really love those sanding pads. These ones right here, really, really nice. And they are on our supply list. So if you go into the notes and you can sign up for the supply list and you get all of the things that I use, including these sponges, and you can have them delivered right to your door. So super easy. And those sponges are nice because they flatten it out, but don't like cut into it. And they're also really nice on your hands. So that's what I like to do. And then you can add your top coat or wax on top of it, and that's gonna be super smooth. So there's a lot of options in ways to adjust depending on the look that you're trying to achieve or the aesthetics that you have. And the great thing about furniture painting is that everybody can do it differently because it really is an artistic form. So if you like it one way, you can do that. If you want to see something else, then you can experiment and have a lot of fun discovering your style. This piece is driving me crazy. So I think that looks pretty good. I might come in for a second coat on all of this, but right now I feel like it is, I still don't know what's going to happen with the rest of it. So I'm going to move on and do my second coat on this drawer. And with the first coat, I was sure to use, to get all of the different areas. So the edges have been coated quite nicely in the first coat. So the second coat, I don't have to worry about as much. Although I do like to make sure that everything's consistent. I did have to do a little repair there in between coats. So that's another time it's really great to address any issues. After you get your first coat on, kind of do another evaluation and see if maybe the painting has exposed any cracks that you didn't see or details that you weren't aware of. Because sometimes when you put the paint on, you start seeing those things. And when it was brown and wood, you might not. So right now I'm just focusing on getting the paint on there. The brush strokes are going to be moved around during the blending portion. Normally you would paint with your drawers and then make sure that you level off nicely. So I'm going to switch back to my cotton. And I can see most of your comments. Thank you guys so much for sharing. That helps so much. And if you have any questions, please pop them in. I'll get back to you if I see it now or later. I do try to be really responsive there. And I love sharing these projects with you guys. I really think it's fun. I like to get your input on things. And I know that you guys like to see it all kind of come together. So that I think is really fun. I love talking to people, and when they mention a piece that I did a while ago and they still remember it, I think that's great. And I do have a screen, that's what I'm looking at. So that actually helps me with the blending a bit, because sometimes when you are right up close with the blended piece or an ombre piece, it's hard to kind of decipher what's going on. But once you take a picture or see it on video, it makes it really obvious where you have some opportunities to improve it. So that's surprisingly handy right now. So thank you guys. I see a lot of you are new to my company, my page, me. I am Kelly with Captiva Home, and I own a furniture painting business, obviously, in Central Mass. So I do a lot of painting for people here. You can either like come in and pick out a piece and have it customized, or I paint things and sell them, or if you have a piece, I will paint it for you. I do workshops and classes, and I'm also a Dixie Belle retailer. So that's the paint we're using today. And this is Vintage Duck Egg. So you can either shop online on, it's linked in the notes, or you can shop physically in our shop in Framingham, Mass. So that's at Avenue C Design, and it's really fantastic place. That looks pretty cool. And then, yeah, have it shipped right to your door. So I think I'm gonna leave that for now. I might come in and do another coat to make sure that everything's really even. This is Vintage Duck Egg on the Dixie Belle website, for someone who's asking there. And if you have any questions, pop them in. I try to respond here or later, whatever works well. And I also have all of the supplies and some other really great stuff on my website, and that's CaptivaHomeDecor.com. I will be updating it very soon, so it's a little bit less than I love right now, but websites are challenging, so there is some great info there. I share a lot of these projects, usually like once a week, or one every week we do together, and I'll bring you through the whole process. So I painted this live for the base coat a few days ago, and that video is on our website, on the Facebook page. And then at the end, I'll pull it all together in a nice blog post, put it up there, throw it on Pinterest, and then you can find it forever. So I know with this, actually I should do it white. I'm gonna be using the gilding waxes. So I either have, this is warm gold, or this is bronze. So depending what color the hardware cleans up to be, I will use one of those gilding waxes to accent the hardware and then pull it in here. And then, the Dixie Belle has incredible colors and products. So these are all of the different kinds of products. So there's like metallic paints, waxes, polyacrylics, these gilding waxes. I know you can't see this, but just there's a lot. And then these are all of the colors. So there's 64 incredible colors. This is the Vintage Duck Egg that we're working with, but you can see there's a lot of kind of similar blue-green teals. Really pretty, really fun. I am placing an order probably tomorrow, so let me know what your favorite colors are, so I can try to focus on getting those first. Because there's so many, it's gonna take some time. But I wanna make sure that I have the stuff that you wanna see. So now I'll be moving on here, and we'll do this leg and then this panel, and I think that might be it. What other questions do you have? Have you ever blended anything? Oh, I gotta do those too. Have you used Dixie Belle? Let me know. And let me see if I can get this. Yeah, everyone's had really great feedback so far. So, oh, you're not gonna be able to see. Oh well. There's not much happening up there anyway. But Dixie Belle, I'm fairly new to. I just became a retailer, and I'm loving it so far. Paint handles beautifully, the colors are great, self-levels, these brushes are fantastic. I've been painting for 20 years now, doing all kinds of different paints and techniques, and there's definitely things that I look for in a paint line, and they've got it all. So they have a whole bunch of different products that are all complementary. The paint itself is beautiful to work with, and it self-levels, which means that it eliminates the brush strokes as it dries. Not eliminates, it helps to eliminate. So if you are a less than perfect painter, it's gonna make you look a little bit better for your pieces, so that's always helpful. You can also create texture, so that if you want to see some texture, you can manipulate it to do that. These brushes are great. I'm very happy with it. So I'm glad to be sharing it with you guys. Yes, I'm painting with vintage duck egg and then doing some highlights with cotton and doing a little bit of blending, and then we'll probably see some dry brushing once that's done. So someone's asking about the primer. We do have this Dixie Belle, where'd it go? Here it is. So this is Boss. So this is it blocks odor, stains, and stops bleed through. So this is actually water-based and it's clear. So this is a great primer when you want to have the option to distress back into it. Because a lot of primers are white, and Boss also comes in white. But if you usually you have a brown wood piece, and then if you paint it white for your primer, and then you want to distress back into it, depending on your colors, you're going to start seeing the white, and that might be desirable or it might not be. So you have to consider that. So having both the clear and the white is a great option. There are certainly cases where you want to use a white primer, like if you're painting a piece bright white. Any coverage with whites can be challenging. So if you use a white primer, then that's going to help you get to that coverage that you want a lot faster. So this paint actually goes really far. I've used, let's see, where is it? So I've used about half of an 8 ounce to do this piece. So that's pretty good, which means I can get 2 dressers like this out of this 8 ounce container, perhaps. I usually like to get a little more than I think I'm gonna need, because even though it should go super far, there's nothing more frustrating than being almost done with a piece and then running out of paint. So I would always get like a 16 ounce if you have someone was asking about doing a couple dressers with it. So if you have 2 pieces, I go with the 16. Give yourself a little bit more flexibility. So here we go. So asking about the shellac, I need to do like a test on it because I've always been swearing by shellac for bleed through. But so far this is working out really nicely. But I do like to test and verify and make sure that I really understand the use and the limitations of products. So I'll be doing some side-by-side testing of the shellac and also the Boss to see what happens there. But with this blending, so I'm using a couple different brushes, and you can really see there how it's not blended yet. So sometimes you need to actually step away from it, look at it on a video, which is what I'm doing over here. I have a nice screen there. Or take a picture of your piece, and that's going to help you realize where your opportunities for improvement are when you're doing like a blended piece. But since this is all an artistic form, you can do whatever you want. If you love it one way, do it. Somebody else might have a totally different version of what they want to see. But these are all about expressing your creativity and having fun. And painting is certainly fun. So look how like glowy that is. Really nice. I'd love to see, I should have done the blending on the first coat too, because that would offer some more dimension. But what do you guys think? Are you into it? Give me a like or love, or tell me what you're thinking. I'm kind of digging the glowy. And then I might do some dry brushing in the different areas. There's some nice details here to play with, so I want to see what happens there. Oh, good. So you guys have some reactions. Thank you. Someone's asking if I ever paint the sides of the drawers. No. But I do paint, these are actually taped off. Oh, I can show you. So we actually do a lot of prep work, and we create some nice lines. Let's see if I can put this down. So we'll tape them off so that we have some nice lines there, and then this is all protected. So now I know that I'm not going to get stuff and paint all over my drawers. And super important when you're working with a client's piece, because you don't want to return it to them like dusty and full of different issues. So that's that. I think that's enough for tonight. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm Kelly with Captiva Home. We did some blending here. I'm gonna do this, let this dry, and then see what it looks like. It looks really mottled right now because there are some areas that are drier than others. And as you're painting, the paint will kind of change color on you as it's drying or when it's like super wet. So the best thing to do at this point is walk away and then come back to it and see what I want to do. So I might do another coat. This I'm not like super into right now, but oh, that is also halfway drying and it looks worse than it did. But this side I think looks pretty cool. So this is what it should all dry to. We'll see what happens. But thank you. I'm Kelly with Captiva Home. Please, if you enjoyed this, make sure you like the page, share with your friends, go try it yourself. We have the paint available at Avenue C Design in Framingham, or you can shop through our link, and that supports our small business, and I appreciate it so much. So have a great day. Talk to you soon.